listening to the East Texas Banner right here at easttexasbanner.com. Got the privilege this afternoon of sitting down with Dr. Ray Callas. He is running for State House District 21.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Callas, I really appreciate you sitting down with me.
Thank you for letting me be here.
So, man, if I say give me a brief bio, I looked at some of your bio stuff. It's not brief.
No, sir.
And so everything from the military to your service as a doctor here in the Beaumont area, man, there's a lot of things. Plus all the boards and all the groups that you're a part of and that type of thing.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you got a lot of things going here. So give me kind of a nutshell. You know, I know Persian Gulf, you know, there's a lot of things here. I mean, there's 1,000 ways we can go with this deal.
Yes, sir.
And so where do you want to start with kind of, you know, telling the people who you are a little bit?
I'm glad you asked that simple question. It's a very complex answer, but I'm going to give you very simple who Ray Callas really is.
Okay.
Born and raised in Galveston, Texas.
Okay.
Mother and father, hardworking. My dad always had 2 jobs. He was a doctor. He's the one that taught me to become a physician at UTMB. My mom had a high school education. They owned a dancing school for 57 years. So
Okay.
I was around small business my whole life.
Okay.
Then I got married, happily married to my wife, Lisa. We've been married now for 23, almost 24 years, from Lamarck, Texas. And like you said, I started off with foundation, something that a lot of people, I'm proud to say, my mom and dad taught me and my brother how to be guided, how to be God-fearing, hardworking young men in the community, respecting our blue, respecting our firefighters, respecting all the volunteers or anyone that's older than me. That's the way I was raised. And so I went to the military. You're correct. In 1988, I served in the Gulf War. Proud veteran. Every time I hear the Star Spangled Banner, I get choked up because a lot of my friends, some have died, some didn't come back home. But it's an honor and privilege to say that I wore that uniform voluntarily to maintain the protection that we believe in, and that's a freedom of the United States.
No doubt.
You know, it's a big thing to me, July 4th. I mean, even when my daughter dances like at the recitals and I hear that Star Spangled Banner, I choke up every single time because that's what I'm all about. So after I went to the military, then I went to Texas A&M University, proud Aggie. We were very, very close-knit. We almost call ourselves cliquish because we wear this one thing, our ring. For some reason, it's a good spoke tool. You know, we get to talk to everybody. We have a good time.
Sure.
After A&M, then I went to the University of Texas Medical Branch and got a doctorate of medicine, and then became an anesthesiologist. And all of a sudden, I was into politics. I was the chairman of the whole House Officers Association at UTMB. I was leading anesthesiology on the national level on the resident side. I was on the board of UTMB as the only chief resident on that whole board, and so I liked it, but I never thought I would end up in Beaumont, Texas. My dad and mom, my mom was born in Galveston. My dad was born in Beaumont, so I had connections. All my dad's side of the family is from Beaumont, and so I was on a flight from Washington, D.C., coming back to Houston, but we got rainstormed and we got delayed in Dallas. And I met an anesthesiologist from here that said, "Hey, how do you like to come to Beaumont, Texas?" I was like, "There's no way I'm coming to Beaumont, Texas," because I'll just tell you the truth. My dad, God rest his soul, he came from a very poor family. He lived right off of Magnolia. They had 6 brothers and sisters, 1 bathroom, 2 bedrooms. Dirt. I mean, it was poor. My dad worked since he was 11 years old, working at the YMCA here in Beaumont, throwing milk, working multiple jobs, went to Lamar. I mean, so I knew what it was like. But the reason why I'm laughing about it now, because the only thing I knew was a bus barn over there, and I knew where the fair was,
right.
And I knew where the White House was back in the day. That was a department store. That's all I saw in Beaumont, Texas.
Gotcha.
So I came here and interviewed. My wife and I liked it, and we set up shop here. I took the job here in 2003. Started in 2004. We started on Champions Drive over there on the golf course. Then we've been here ever since. Since that time, I've raised 3 beautiful daughters. Proud. Oldest one's 21. She's a senior. My middle daughter, she's the one of the head of a blend dance team. They went to nationals this year. And then my youngest one, matter of fact, today, she's hopefully she can learn how to drive. She's taking her driver's test now at the Department of Public Safety. But since that time, I'm blessed to have a family that I call not only my rock, my solid. I was raised with a brother. And now I have 3 daughters and a wife. I mean, it's a total different game,
Yeah.
but the game that I love to play in.
No.
And I'll be honest, sometimes I'm not the best husband. I'm not the best dad because, you know what, I'm so driven internally to try to be it for everyone. I'm a public service fanatic. That's why I became a physician. Every day I talk to people. No matter if you're black, white, yellow, purple, I don't care. No matter no matter what you do for a living, you're my number one at that time that I care for you. As an anesthesiologist, I'm blessed because every person I touch them some type of way, and I touch a large group of family members. And I don't let politics get in the way. I don't let religion get in the way. I allow me to be blessed by the hands of God that allows me to be educated to take care of that person. So I've been in this game for a long time.
Yeah.
And the reason why I've decided to do it is because I was honest to myself. I waited in line because I wanted to make sure I didn't jeopardize my family. Because if I would have gotten to the game too early, then I definitely wouldn't be here for my kids or my wife. Now that my kids are almost all out of the house and my wife is okay with it, and I know Dade Phelan said he wasn't running, I said I'm coming in. And you know what I love about me being in this position? I've been working my whole career to be this guy for Southeast Texas. I've been all over the district.
Sure.
I've talked to everybody from Jasper to Buna to Orange to Beaumont to go all the way down to China. I mean, I've been all over.
Right.
And what's more important to me is that I want to let everybody know that I will be that guy. You will have access. Anybody I talk to, I give them my cell phone. Yeah. I always give people my cell phone. But what you're going to get with me, you're going to get a guy that's very passionate about what he does. You're going to get a guy that respects the military, a guy that respects all the blue. If I see a fireman, if I see a EMS, if I see a policeman, if I see a military man or woman, I not only try to pick up their tab, I make sure I go over and thank them for their service because it's very important to me.
Sure.
The other thing that's very important to me that they don't get any recognition at all is teachers. And it really bothers me.
Agreed.
It bothers me so much because whenever I get a chance to talk to somebody, I will spend an extra 10 minutes before their surgery to thank a teacher because I remember all my teachers that gave me a foundation that I had. So, I'm not going to give you a long list because I don't want people to know, I've done a lot of different boards. I mean, the other thing that I'm very proud of, and I'm the only second anesthesiologist in 171 years to become the president of the Texas Medical Association, the largest medical association in the United States.
Right.
And when you do something like that and you are running unopposed, I did not even have someone challenge me, is because I think people know what they see is what they get.
Yeah.
They know I'm a committed person, and that's what I do. I mean, I've been serving this area, but I'm glad you're interviewing because I want people to hear who Ray Callas really is.
Absolutely. And what's funny is I think you're the first person that could honestly say, if you want to know about me, Google me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Honestly, God. I mean, because I've interviewed a lot of folks, and a lot of people run, and we do stuff up in the Jasper Newton area. But you really, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it really is because I mean, what you're talking about there about the medical board and all that. I mean, that's not a small feat.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's a big deal. So let's talk about District 21 for a second.
Okay.
What do you see? I know there's a laundry list of stuff that we could talk about. Mm-hmm. But what do you see as the number one priority that you hear out here on the street that we have to address?
First thing we got to address is we got to come together as a complete district of HD 21. And it bothers me because I don't want to be known because I live in Beaumont that I only represent Beaumont. That's not me.
Sure.
I represent, if you have 1 foot in this district, I represent you. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that I'm glad you're interviewing me because I want to let everybody know from the most south part of my district to the north part of my district to the east or to the west, I want to get to know you and get to know our issues.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest issues I hear about right now, for sure, is property tax, water, schools, and safety. Those are some of the biggest things I hear all the time.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest things related to water is that they say, you're not going to sell our water, are you? I'm like, no, we're not selling water. And I think what people don't understand until you're really in the game is that water is like having black gold, like oil, because everyone needs water. And we're blessed that we have a lot of water, but our water is very important. You know, all those things that run across the coast, i.e. the petrochemical companies, the waterway, the railways, all those require a lot of water. And the water allows us to maintain our economic engine that we have here. And we're going to protect that water. That's the number one thing related to water.
Sure.
I'm also very interested because, like I told you, I was on a submarine. We made our own water. So, I mean, I would like to come up with ideas, not only for HD21, but also for the great state of Texas. Let's look at desalinating a lot of water because we've got the Gulf of Mexico right there. We should be able to take water from that Gulf, bring it up into the state, but also make sure with the discharge of that water that's it's very, very salty. We got to pump it way back down into deeper water. We don't want to ruin our estuaries or ruin our bays or anything like that. But water's number one. The other big thing is property tax. Property tax. Matter of fact, I was in Jasper. I'll tell you a very, very heartwarming story. Had a husband and wife that were sitting up front. And they said, "Dr. Callas, can I talk to you?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "It's sad. He said he was a pipe fitter. His wife was a teacher. They worked their whole life, whole life.
Yeah.
And they said, we almost can't afford our home anymore." And it hurt me to the core because they own their home outright, but they don't really own their home. Because when you're paying property taxes at an egregious amount of money, you really don't own your home. And so what really hurt me is that the American dream is not only a Texas dream to own your own. That's what our founding fathers wanted us to be, hardworking people, to have a chance to retire and to live your dream.
Yeah, to have ownership.
Correct. And there's no ownership because if you can't afford your taxes, you don't own it. And so my concern is that I'm glad Governor Abbott has definitely, we looked at about a $51 billion savings last year, but I think where we need to do is his new 5-point plan. We need to start looking into that. That maybe looking at that you can't increase your property tax unless you take it to the voters and make sure they allow that. You shouldn't be able to do appraisals every year. You should maybe do it every 5 years. You shouldn't allow us to move anything. Maybe do a constitutional amendment if that's what the voters want and they don't want school taxes to be on their property tax. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
But my ultimate goal is to make taxes, you can't do away with them completely. You got to maintain infrastructure. You got to maintain public safety. You got to maintain all that. But to have people with a noose around their neck where they can't own their own home and the property tax is driving them out is very concerning to me.
Well, so on the personal side, here a couple of years ago, my next door neighbor decided that they were going to sell their property. Okay. It's an impoverished area, but they decided they were going to sell their property. And he had a $5,000 mobile home sitting on the property. And he had like a 1982 RV. It had a front porch built on the front. Not uncommon for what you'll see around Newton, Texas. Right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Not knocking Newton, just saying we have a different standard around there.
Right.
And some folks out of Oregon, good people, bought it sight unseen. And honestly, they paid terribly for that property. It's on a half acre. My concern has been this. There's got to be a way to go back. And I don't know. I mean, it just makes sense to me. You know, I've been in and around businesses, budgets, and, you know, how things work sometimes. You know, I'm not a wizard at it, but, you know, I'm working on it. There's got to be a way to go back and take a look at when I don't want to call it infestation, but the migration of West Coast over into Texas really started changing the appraisal values, because that is the driver. You know, a lot of sight unseen purchases, a lot of inflated pricing, and I mean we've got folks in Jasper, Newton, and Tyler counties that have large swaths of land that was basically inheritance property, and now they're getting pegged because now we have this migration of folks coming in, whereas over in California, you know, quarter acre of land will go, you know, 7 figures
all day long.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so whenever they see quarter acre of land or half acre of land less than $100,000 over here, you know, I know people selling property, you know, $10,000 an acre in Bonware right now.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I mean, I'm sitting here going, wait a second. I mean, I've been through Bonware. Seems like a lovely place. $10,000 an acre seems absurd.
Yes.
And so to me, you know, I know we've talked a lot about or society talks a lot about, how we can mitigate some of this. It makes sense to, if you have an individual reach 65. I know their taxes get frozen,
Mm-hmm.
but there ought to be something in the meantime so that they're not inflated out of their property, so that the taxes aren't inflated out of their property.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
Or doesn't inflate them out of their
right,
property.
right.
And so I don't know, man. I hope that legislation actually is able to figure something out sooner rather than later. Because if we let this go on for another 10 years, we got a real problem.
I think it's less than that, in my opinion. I really do. You hit another thing that's very important to me, is that we're taking Texas values and they're being bought and paid for by outside Texas.
Bingo.
By outside Texas vendors.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what happens is that if Ray Callas decides to retire in, let's say Jasper, say I decided to retire in Jasper,
right?
But if everyone's buying property that are no longer Jasper, they don't live there anymore, but they live in California, they live in China, they live wherever else, and the property value goes up.
Yeah.
That's not what Texas wants.
Yeah.
And so I'm very concerned about that too, because the affordability needs to be able to allow Texans to own their own property, their own homes. Period.
Exactly.
Bottom line.
Exactly.
And that's what I truly believe.
So, shifting gears, let's talk about some of the other things that you brought up, with the water rights and whatnot, because carbon capture, data centers, these are all hot topics right now.
Yes.
I'm interested to see what happens with the data centers up around Angelina County.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are your for me, I'm all about technology and progressing things forward and making things easier for folks,
Mm-hmm.
And that type of thing, but not at the expense of health and water. You know what I mean? And so, what's kind of your thought about, because the idea has been pushed around about, selling our water and this type of stuff. That's not the bigger issue.
Right.
The bigger issue is when a data center comes in, there's a high probability they're going to put a draw on the aquifers,
mm-hmm.
period.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about mitigating that or regulating that in a better way?
Multiple thoughts. One is I'm not going to speak about the petrochemical companies that I've went and visited, because
Sure.
I don't think that's fair. But just looking at the amount of stewardship in water that they run like a closed system, and I love it to where they're trying to mitigate the amount of water they get from the Sabine River Authority, so that way they don't pull so much drag on the water. So they're not just using it, cooling it, and dumping it. They're keeping it in their own, it's called a closed system. I love that. I love that a lot. What I'm concerned about is that, what you just said is exactly accurate. You are going to use water. You are going to use electricity on these big time AI driven, no matter whatever, carbon capture, no matter these data centers, whatever. Here's my concern. I would much rather keep our data protected in the United States or even in Texas, but not jeopardize health or jeopardize the way people live.
Sure.
And that is making sure we have maintained plenty of water, making sure that we look to see if the science and data is safe. I don't want a bunch of data centers around if they're putting off a lot of energy or very bad chemicals or carcinogens. We don't need all that.
Or noise pollution. Yeah.
I totally agree. Yes, a huge deal. But with that being said, I will be someone that looks at HD21 because I know jobs are very important as well.
Sure.
But also too, not jobs that will jeopardize the infrastructure of what we believe in.
Right.
And that's very concerning to me.
Well, see, and that it is a tightrope in a way, because we're all hurting for jobs throughout East Texas. Granted, there's jobs out there.
Yeah.
There's jobs everywhere, but it almost seems like this is the long time or the long-term banging gong that we need more jobs. We need industry. Well, when industry shows up, we can't piss and moan about the fact that
they have jobs.
Maybe there's a few hazards or some nuisances.
Right.
But whenever you start looking at all the fear factor of topics like data centers and carbon capture, it kind of goes off the rails. So, but hopefully we can keep a better dialogue in the process of this thing. If you are elected at the end of the year, that's remains to be seen. But at the same time, is there anything we haven't touched on a whole lot, but is there anything you wanted to really just kind of let the people know more so than what we talked about?
Oh, yeah. One of the biggest things that I believe in, and it's the military me coming out again, I believe in behavioral health. I really believe mental health is something that it's a very big problem. I'm glad that Dade Phelan brought the new behavioral health system, that our new mental health capacity, because I mean we are in a big void here in Southeast Texas. The closest place is Houston, Lake Charles, or Tyler. So, and I'm talking about from Jasper, Newton, bring it all the way down to Orange, bring it to Beaumont, bring it down to China, Nome, Devers, all that stuff.
Right.
I think that we have to get out of the habit, and this is not just me being a physician, because I see it all the time. If I tell you that I have high blood pressure, diabetes, me and you are still cool. We're very cool.
Right.
But if I tell somebody that I have depression or if I have addiction, all of a sudden I'm a leper. We got to change that, because if we can save one person, that's my ultimate goal. Is that what bothers me is when I have some of my closest friends that have committed suicide coming back from the military because they didn't have the chance to talk about it because we shun them off or we make them look like they're lepers. It really, I mean, I can get emotional right now because it really bothers me, because people would rather commit suicide than have the demons in their head. And it really, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. And when you think you're better than somebody else, I'm not going to be that legislator, because I want to have everyone have an opportunity to get rid of that bad mental health. They don't want to do that. They don't want to be addicted. They don't want to be going through depression or suicide. They don't want to do that. They want to be treated. And so, you know, anything I could do to help out. I mean, I helped out Governor Perry and a guy named Brian Herbert this last year.
Talking about the Abigail.
I'm a big believer in Ibogaine.
100%.
Big believer.
100% agree.
Big believer. And I'm also a big believer in making sure it's regulated, making sure there's safety, making sure it's led by physicians, not just some mom and pop store on the side of the road, because I know how dangerous the drug is. But when you look, and I've talked to some of my friends that are SEAL Team 3, 4, I've talked to some paratroopers, they literally were knocking on heaven's door, and they come back and they're functioning human beings. And so, I mean, I've already been there too. I mean, I don't know if you know this about me too. I opened an infusion center here in Beaumont. It's called Care Infusion. It begins with a K. It wasn't because I wanted to put IVs in people. I did it because the K stands for ketamine. And ketamine was a drug that helped many people. I'm not going to mention names, but I've taken care of a lot of military personnel. But the biggest story I can tell you about, and you're going to love this, I get chills talking about it. This girl came to my clinic, and her dad called and said, she's not doing good. She's depressed. We don't know, suicidal, blah, blah, blah. I gave her infusions of ketamine under our watch, physician watch. Guess what she does now?
What?
Board certified an attorney.
Wow.
She went from being suicidal to practicing law. And you would know who I'm talking about, but the problem that concerns me, I want to be that voice to where people can count on me, because I'm not going to stop here. I will continue. Ibogaine is going to revolutionize.
100,000%.
And you know what? When people go, well, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I do. I promise you. I've done a lot of reading about this, but I know one thing I do know. All it took is one military person and someone to call me and say, look into it. If I can change and help someone survive, Ibogaine is going to be the wave of the future.
Well, and not just that. I mean, here's the truth and the backstory on that is, you know, Rick Perry was a staunch non-supporter of anything on this line of help, right? And so this was very fringe. This was until he sits down with Marcus Luttrell.
I'm glad you said that.
You know what I'm saying?
They're tight.
100%. And so, but you go back and you look at the interviews with Marcus Luttrell before the treatment and after. Totally different human.
He wouldn't be a congressman.
Exactly.
Not because he didn't want to. He literally went I mean, God bless Marcus Luttrell. God bless all of our military men and women. I mean, they're special. If you ever get a chance to watch, I know you probably have seen the story, but Marcus Luttrell and what they went through, he's a lone survivor. And he had to go live in the fields for a long time to be protected. And he lived, and you're expecting him to come back and be normal? Come on. No. It doesn't even make sense.
Well, see, to me, what's interesting is this. You know, and I don't know the best way to say this, but it seems like whenever the term mental health started coming out, it's almost like it was a data point. It was a selling point for a lot of different groups nationwide, right? And so there's an automatic, I won't say just a disregarding, but this mental health thing, you don't have to go to war to have PTSD.
Oh, heck no.
I've got friends of mine
No.
who had bad childhoods to deal with PTSD.
You can just have a wreck. You can have anything. PTSD is anything post-traumatic stress derived.
Right.
And you know what? You're hitting another big point. People are scared to say that they have these problems because people don't believe them. They think they're in fantasy land.
Yeah.
And it really bothers me because that's why we see so many, in my opinion, and you want me to be truthful, that's why we have so much gun violence in school too. There's a lot of mental health that goes behind this, but we're scared to talk about it.
Right.
And I want to be able to open it up. Let's talk about it because we need to maintain safety, and we also need to maintain the credibility that life is more important than us saying that this doesn't exist.
Right.
It's 100% reality.
I agree. And I mean, I heard a statistic the other day that talk therapy normally takes 8 to 10 years to be effective. Ibogaine is 1 to 2
doses. Treatments. Yes.
Treatments.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here going,
an hour.
Why are we not making this available to the entire nation? You know what I'm saying?
If it wasn't for Brian Hubbard,
100%,
Marcus Luttrell, and Rick Perry, and it made me feel good because Governor Perry called me and Brian Hubbard called me right away. Said, "Hey man, you're the president of Texas Medicine. You're going to listen. I got all the data research. We're very data research driven, science driven.
Sure.
And that's when I went straight to from Senator Creighton to Lieutenant Governor Patrick to Bonin, all the guys on both sides of the aisle. And Patrick took it and said, yeah, we're going to get $50 million. Let's see what we can do. I think it's going to be something that whenever we're going to do the studies here in Texas, we're going to see exactly how effective it is. I hope you save this tape because I want to come back whenever it gets approved, and we will have men and women come here and let you talk to them about how Ibogaine changed their lives.
Man, I would love nothing more because I'm not going to go into my own personal situation, at least on camera. But I can attest to, I mean, I grew up in a home that was controlled by cyclical depression.
Gotcha.
My father dealt with that severely.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if that stuff is hereditary. I know growing up around it seemed like it caused issues. But whenever I had my day of salvation, if you will, or moment of enlightenment, it changed my whole outlook on life. And one of the things I really appreciated about what, dude, I was not planning on this going the Ibogaine route, but I'm glad you brought this up. You know, whenever I heard Marcus talk about every day after he had the treatment, he's just wanted to be a better man and a better father and husband.
And he put God first.
Yes. It's a complete shift of gears.
Totally agree.
A complete shift of gears. So, okay. So I could geek out on this topic, no doubt. But any last thing you want to touch on for the people who are trying to figure out who they're going to vote for House seat 21?
I think it's an easy choice. And the reason why I say that is that I'm boots on the ground. I've been boots on the ground since day one at HD 21. Also, too, I don't need training wheels at that Capitol. People know me from the governor all the way down. They know how hard I work. But more importantly, I have been a servant to this community since 2003, since I put my stethoscope and this white coat on, and I will continue to be a servant. That's why I wanted to run for the Texas House, because I have to be accountable to the people and the community that I live in. And not on the federal side, but on the House side, you have to do that. And I want to be able to go up there at the Capitol, make some good decisions based on what HD 21 wants, come back and then put this coat on and work with the community. That's what I want to do. But I think it's an easy choice. I think what you're going to get is you're going to get a God-fearing, a God-loving, a family man, one that's not scared to make a very, very, very hard vote, tough vote, but also, too, I'm going to fight. I'm going to be a fighter. I'm going to be respectful, but I'm going to be a fighter.
Dr. Ray Callas, I appreciate you sitting down.
Thank you, sir.